All right, welcome back. So, in the first part of this, we got exercise one done to the level as called for in the exercise. So, in the book, it looks a little more plain than this one does here. So, finishing up where the book leaves off, we were looking something like this, which if your assignment is turned in, you create your PDF of this and send that in just like that. You're good. You got the things done that you needed to get done for this one. But we want to go and we have 8 weeks and we want to move our skills a little bit farther forward. So I want to go through some extra stuff just at the end of this to cover a few other things, to dress things up a little bit, introduce a couple more tools. So looking at the prettier version, we see that we have some color to it. We see that we have some rounds on here, okay, or fillets if you're coming from some other softwares. You have chamfers on here, and we have some different finishes added to things. So let's go ahead and do those couple of things. And also too, we also have the back side of that part is actually hollowed out and open on the back side. So let's go ahead and do those same things to this one just for the point of practice. All right, so options and tools that we're going to look at here. We're going to look at the round. We're going to look at the chamfer. We're also going to look at the shell function as well. Let's go ahead and start off with those rounds. So the rounds are where we're taking those corners, those nice sharp angular corners there, and we're rounding those corners off. More machining parts, we like to do things like that so that we don't have real sharp edges on them. Also, when you're molding things, if you're thinking of plastic molded parts, so some of these parts from this big stapler here, like the plastic handles on here, the edges, if I was to have really sharp corners on here all over the place, it wouldn't be the most comfortable thing to use. So we put those rounds and those chamfers on things for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's for comfort of use of the person. Sometimes it's so it comes out of a mold easier. It could be a lot of different things. But let's go ahead and add some of those. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick that round tool. And we get our options that come up here. What type of round it's going to be, the radius of it. It wants to know, first of all, what things we want to round. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick this corner right here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see. And right off the bat, it's set up a round on there with a radius of 0.125, so 1/8 of an inch. If I grab these handles here and I pull, I can make that round, increase the value of that round. If I come up right here, I can go ahead and type in a number. And if I come right here, I can type in a number 2. So let's go ahead and make that 1 inch and hit enter. Okay. And let's come down and let's look at this one. Trying to remember on this one if I made it the same or if I went with a little bit less. No, it looks like they're the same on both. So let's do the same thing right on this edge. Okay, this edge right here. We're going to click on that edge, left click once. It's going to select that edge. It remembers that last value of 1 inch that we did up here. And we're going to leave that one the same. So we're just going to go ahead and double click on the center scroll wheel to exit that tool. And we have our rounds completed on there. All right, looking nice, looking a little bit more like it. So on this one, we did have those nice chamfers on there. So we're going to go ahead and add those on there next. And we're going to choose that chamfer tool right here. And we have lots of different ways we can use that chamfer tool, different ways we can apply it. We're just going to keep with the simple version of it, the dimension by dimension one. We can also set an angle at which that chamfer is going to run. We can have 2 different dimensions on one side or the other. We can do lots of things to tailor, but we're going to stick with a straight one, just a D times a D dimension up here. And we're going to go ahead and pick where we want that thing to occur. Okay, so I'm going to pick these outer edges right here. And Creo says, I'm going to assume you probably want to do that thing along that whole edge, which is the case. And we're going to click on the second one here. Okay, and the value that is set up in there is 0.070 or 70 thousandths of an inch. We're going to go ahead and change that to an eighth of an inch, 0.125. So we've got it changed down here for this one. Okay, this one, we got to go ahead and edit that one, so 0.125. Okay, we're going to hit the OK after we're done, right? Oh, I clicked on something else here, didn't I? So all those are 0.125 now. This is 0.125, that's 0.125. One of these is not there. And sometimes things can happen like this where you get going a little bit quick and you don't get an option to go ahead and complete that thing. So I'm going to hit cancel. And it's going to ask me if I really want to cancel. I'm going to hit yes. Let's break it down into two separate operations. So let's do this chamfer again. Let's pick this edge right here to 0.125. We're going to hit OK. I'm going to start that tool one more time. By left clicking on that chamfer, we're going to choose that edge, verify that our dimension is where we want it to be, 0.125. We're going to hit OK. So we have our rounds, we have our chamfers on there. Missing a couple of other things. Let's rotate around to the back. So remember, to ease ourselves in rotating, we want to have this spin center option chosen so that whenever we click and hold that center scroll wheel, we're going to rotate around that center axis of the part. So let's look at the back side. We see the part is still solid. I want to go ahead and make that open like it's a molded part by using this shell function here. Okay, so we're going to click on shell. And then the first thing that we need to click on is going to be the side of that thing. In this case, we want to have be open. Okay, so if we click on this back side, it's going to show us a preview of all that material removed. And then we have to go ahead and verify what that wall thickness is going to be. And I'm going to have it be 70 thousandths. Okay, so 0.070 or just 0.07 if we don't want to throw that extra zero on there. Okay. I'm going to hit OK. So we've got that open, that shell now. So all these other sides are open. If we go ahead and click off the thing, we can see it a little bit better. So we're open here. We have our part. It's looking like we want to now. Go back to that standard orientation. Let's pretty it up a little bit, make things look a little bit nicer. So we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to find something else that we need to do. We're going to look for something that says appearance. Okay. Nope, not in there. If we go to this view, we can find the appearance right here. Okay, so under view, go to appearance. And then we can change this color from this default gray, kind of matte finish on there. We have options in here now. And there are libraries of these things available. You can download additional appearances. There's all kinds. You can get, wood appearances, any kind of different metal, all kinds of different paint finishes, matte finishes, glossy finishes, all kinds of different things. So let's just go ahead and pick this white. Okay. And then we have a little select box that comes up over here. It says you need to pick a region. So we can either click that paintbrush on individual faces of the part, sides of that part there, and do that way. But we want the whole thing to be white. So we're just going to draw by left clicking in one corner, holding that left click, And then when we've drawn that selection box, that fence around the thing, we let go of that left click and we select that whole body. And then we're going to hit OK. And now we have a white finish on everything. And in this one, I went with a blue metallic. So let's do that same thing on there just for consistency's sake. I'm going to go back up to appearances, still under that view section. I'm going to choose that metallic blue. And then this is where I'm going to use the paintbrush. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on a face. And notice if I just left click, I'm just picking one at a time. If I want to do more than one, I'm going to hold down Control, the Control key on my keyboard. And as I'm left clicking, I'm continuing to hold that Control so that I can select multiple. It could be multiple faces. If I want to deselect one, I click on it again, it goes away. So those are the ones I'm going to make blue. And then when I hit OK, there we go. We've got that blue finish applied to it. And there we go. We have our exercise 1 leveled up a little bit. We've gone ahead and practiced a couple of other tools, the chamfer tool, the round tool. We've gone ahead and shelled out the thing and added some appearances. So we added a couple of extra things. All right, wonderful. I'm going to give you one of the labs in this one. And there's the 2. There's L1, which is basically creating the shape of the letter F. Okay, and then the second one, lab 1B, is this other part here. And let me pull it up in the manual here. Scroll down a little bit through the book. One note about the book too, since we're scrolling past it, there's information about a course outline and then some assignments listed and all that stuff and points associated. Just kind of ignore that and just refer directly to your syllabus on D2L for all the points associated with it. It happens to work out in the same way in this thing, but there are some differences, okay? So just kind of ignore that one in the front here. Chris has set up some general guidelines for these courses when you share these materials with other people. So here we have the F as an option. I'm going to leave you guys to that one. We're going to work on this one. So what you want to do is make sure that you've downloaded the manual. And then once you've downloaded it, when we have the PDF, we're able to go ahead and rotate things so we can see a little bit better. And what we need to do is we got to make this part. And we have those skills that we need so far to do this. We see that we have essentially, let's think about this. We have some extrusions we need to do. So we need to make a sketch that shows us this, essentially. We're going to sketch this out. And then we're going to extrude part of that sketch so that we make this first level. And then we're probably going to go ahead and do a second sketch on that face. And we're going to add in these little additional extrusions here. And we're going to go ahead and create those with that secondary sketch. We have some options. We can include these holes as part of that first sketch, or we can save them until we add on that second one. Now, there are ways, as you get more proficient with this, to incorporate many sketch elements into a single sketch. I don't want to try and force you and paint you into a corner in the beginning to get all these things done, because in this software, you should be able to do a single sketch to make this whole part. A lot of us are new to it. A lot of you, this is the second thing you're drawing in a three-dimensional CAD program. So let's keep it simple. We might do a few extra sketches. Those of you who have used some other things before and you see that pathway to getting it done with one sketch, it's up to you. Efficiency in CAD programs comes with time. It doesn't come right away. If only it did, we'd all be really fast and proficient right off the gate. But it just takes practice. It takes time. All right, so let's get in here. We're going to start a new project here. So we're going to do Lab 1B. So we're going to go to File. We're going to do a new. And we're going to do a lab, if I could just type here. LAB 1B, and we'll see if I have one that's called that already. 1B, we'll hit OK. And I don't have one yet, so here we go. All right, so let's turn on some of those planes that we don't have on yet. We have that CSYS that's turned on right now. Let's turn on that plane display so that we can see things. Okay, we're going to have to pick a plane, but first we got to go ahead and start a sketch, right? Let's go ahead and start a sketch. Let's start again, as we're going to do on a lot of things, on that front plane. I'm going to click on sketch, left click on there. When I say click, just the word click only, it's going to mean a left click. If it's something different than that, because the left click is the most common one, I'll say right click or I'll say center click. And try and be very good about that. I might miss one every now and then, but we're all trying our best. So here we go. All right, so we picked our plane, sketching on that front one. Remember, let's reorient things again so that we can see this thing from head on. We're sketching on the front plane, so let's go up here and choose the saved orientations. Go to front. Not that one. That was not the front. That was the bottom. Let's go to the front. Now we're looking at it front on. We're sketching on that plane. Okay. Here's where your choice comes in. If you want to keep that plane view turned on, you can. That display. Feel free. You can shut it off if you'd like to. I'm going to shut it off. When we look at our spec, our drawing, our multi-view drawing that we have, and that's what we have here, okay, for this drawing, we're given this example shows us a multi-view drawing. So we have, and what we're going to start with on these drawings, and we're going to create drawings that look like this. These are the drawings that we're using for somebody, and we're creating so that somebody can produce that thing, right? So if you wanted to have this thing machined, you're going to create a set of plans that have multi-view drawings that have all the specs on there, the drawings on there, that somebody can use in a shop to go ahead and actually make that part for you. Okay, we're doing this part right now. We're creating the model, but the nice thing in Creo and most other 3D softwares is that once you have the model done, doing this part is so easy. So if you're coming from AutoCAD and you have 2D experience, but not really any 3D experience quite yet, you're going to be blown away in a couple of exercises when you see how easy it goes from here to here and how much the software actually does that for us. But taking a step back to two-dimensional design, we have what's called a multi-view drawing. We have a 3-view drawing here. So we have 1, 2, 3. This one generally placed in the lower left corner of the sheet. Okay, this is our sheet here. This is our title block that tells us all that important information. Who drew this thing, tolerances about it, the name of the drawing, the date it was done, the sheet size it's on, the scale of the drawing, and all those other things that are important is down there. And we have our 3 views, a front view, a primary view. Primary view, the lower left-hand corner is going to be usually the most descriptive thing. So if I'm looking at, grab my big old stapler again, and look at this object, and I'm going to look at it from different ways. If I look at it from here at the bottom, there's some information there. It definitely helps me do some things. Okay, right? If I look at it from the front, okay, I have something there. But from the top, when we look at it from a side view, which one of those 3 is really the most descriptive? Probably this side view, right? Okay, so this, in this case, if I was going to draw this stapler, this would become this drawing in the lower left-hand corner. The most descriptive view is usually going to be the one that's there. And then we project these views, okay, from this primary. So when we're looking at this is looking at it from the top in this case. Okay, the top of the part here. And then when we take this part and we create the secondary view, this is going to be the top side of it. So we're looking at it up there, right? Right here. And then over here, we're looking at it from the side, the right side view. Notice how everything's lined up too, okay? It's real basic technical drawing stuff there, but worth mentioning as we're looking at this. All right, so here's the thing we got to do. trying to give you some extra stuff in here to help out so you see where this fits in. It's not just here's the software, let's make a model. Because some of you, this might be one of the few design courses that you take, and hopefully take a little bit more on there that'll help you out. So here we go. Here's the thing we got to do. Notice when we see in the drawing here that the origin is pointed out for us. Okay. So we want to probably start drawing our model. We're going to draw this primary view here first when we sketch, and we're going to put that lower left-hand corner on that origin. It's usually a clue for us of something that we should do. All right, let's go ahead and do it that way. So into our new file that we have open, our Lab 1B file, I'm going to start with now there's a lot of different ways. Let's pause for 1 second here. There are dozens, if not hundreds of ways sometimes to create a sketch. Okay, tools to use, methodologies to use. I'm going to show you one way. It's not the only way. Okay, I'm going to try in general to show you the ways that are as efficient as possible. And when I learn CAD, I'm going to start here with my rectangle tool. I'm going to pick my origin at that lower left-hand corner. I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to left click to end it. When I learned these CAD programs, a lot of them at first, when I started playing around with Fusion and SolidWorks and everything some years ago, I taught myself a lot of this stuff. Okay. And when I did that by watching some videos, buying some books at the store or borrowing them from the library and doing that, I taught myself a lot of bad ways to do things. It took me a lot longer to get to the end of things. And then with some experience, and then I took a couple of classes too, so that I could get better at and see how these classes were taught. When I started teaching, I started to learn more efficient ways to do things. Okay, so we're looking at efficiency. So we've got that rectangle drawn. And what we need to do is go ahead and we need to get into the dimension. We need to make those dimensions visible. So we're going to mouse over without clicking anything so one of these lines turns green. And then we're going to click that center scroll wheel. And then our dimensions pop up. Okay. So this thing is too darn big right now. It needs to be 5 inches wide and 3 inches tall. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to change this dimension here by double left clicking on it to 5. I'm going to hit enter. There's some things with dimensions. There's these weak dimensions, which are kind of like what are called derived dimensions and some other things. And then there's strong dimensions. There's 3 different levels of dimensions. It refers to how locked into it is. How much of that dimension did you actually go in and change a value on and define? Okay, so we change that one to 5. It goes from weak to strong. This one scales to fit that 5, to go along with that 5. Let's go ahead and double click on that one. Get that to 3. Okay. And we have that set. And 5x3 is a good enough sketch to get that first level of things right here, up from the bottom, which is where we're starting out, to right here done. So let's go ahead and extrude that sketch. Let's go ahead and hit OK. Let's go back to that isometric view, that standard orientation that we have it set up as. Let's go to the extrude tool. It's going to automatically extrude a certain dimension. We look at our plans and it shows us that extrusion, that first level one, should be 1/2 inch. I'm going to change that to 5. Type that in, hit enter. Okay. Hit OK. We got that extrusion done. Now we need to go and draw those secondary extrusions where the holes are. Okay, those ones right there, right? So we see that we have a couple of additional dimensions here showing that we have 1.5 inches in between. So we don't have, when we look at this, we don't have the dimension of this. Okay, so we're not given this dimension. So we don't know exactly what that is. We can, if we wanted to, go, it's 5 inches minus 1.5 is 3.5. So then we have to divide that 3.5 in 2. And we could go ahead and type in that exact dimension. We could do that. Okay. There's a lot of ways we can do this. Let's go ahead and do one of them. So let's go ahead and get a secondary sketch on the surface. So we're going to go ahead and click on sketch, and we're going to click on that face, and we're going to hit sketch for okay. And then we're going to be drawing on this face of the thing. So let's change our orientation. So we go back and we can get that standard one, that front one rather, so that we can see things. Let's go grab our rectangle tool. Let's go to this corner because we know that extrusion is going to reside there. And notice when we come up here, we get those little pictures that show up in the little blue circles. Those are constraints that Creo is putting in there for you. So meaning that corner is going to be lying along the same line as what's below it, essentially. Okay. And I'm going to click right there on there so that I have that one. Okay. And then here's where the choices start to come in. I could use a new tool called the mirror tool, which is the way I'm going to show you to do it. And I can draw one of those features on one side, and then I can mirror it to the other side of my object because features on both sides are exactly the same. So that's what I'm going to do. But first, let's get these dimensions sorted here. Okay. So 1.437. And we need to be 3.5, 5 minus 1.5, divided by 2. Okay, so let's try something here. So 5 is total dimensions from one extent to the other, minus the 1.5 of spacing between those two features is 3.5. So I'm going to go 3.5 divided by 2. And hit enter. Oh, look at that. It did the math for us. Okay. So 1.75. And we got that one exactly right. Okay. Cool. We like that. Well, let's get these holes in here. So we're going to draw circles. We're going to draw center circles. We're going to come down and we're going to more or less place them where we think they're going to be. So I'm going to do one right here. Left click on the center. I'm going to drag my mouse out and I'm going to left click on that outer edge. And then see that little dashed line that pops up when I do that. And I'm still in that same circle tool. So Creo knows that I want to continue and draw another circle. So that dashed line is keeping me in line with the center of that circle above, which is the way it's supposed to be in our drawing. Okay, so I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to click somewhere here for the center of the next one. And then as I drag that out, see what happens. I get that constraint that pops up if I can see the other one. Oh, there it is. That blue circle, if I can zoom in without it disappearing, that blue circle with the equal sign means that the diameter of this one at the bottom is locked to that diameter of the one on the top. Okay, so we want to keep those two the same. So I'm going to left click. And I have my elements of that side. Okay. So let me go ahead and center, click on that scroll wheel twice. So I get into that dimension mode so I can see the dimensions. And I'm going to come in here and set the size of that hole, which is a 1/2 inch through hole. Okay, 0.5. Hit enter. See how they both update. Now we're going to locate. So remember our feature? We're going to give it a dimension, what that feature is, and then we're going to locate where it is. And we're supposed to be on those, center of those holes is 3/4 of an inch from the edge, so 0.75 from that edge. Okay, 0.75 from this edge. And we have that one located. And then if we go ahead and come down to this one, okay, we want 0.75 from here, 0.75. And because we locked in that 0.75 up here, to see how the center, because those are in line with each other because of that constraint there, this one is already 0.75 from the edge, so we're good. All right, let's get a little bit tricky here because we're going to do this mirror tool. Remember I said we can take something that we sketch, or a feature of an object and mirror it across a plane. And all a plane is, we saw, is a line that exists in space. We're going to create that plane this time. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to a line tool. We're going to do a center line, actually. Let's click on that center line. And let's find the center of this. Okay, so when we mouse over the edge here and we move around, we're going to see the corner pops up and then also the center pops up there. So let's left click on that and we're going to drag straight down, left click again, and now we have a center line that's defined. Okay. Efficiency, we said efficiency is a good thing. Getting through these projects a little bit quicker is always a good thing. So let's go ahead now and let's mirror this sketch that we did on this side over here. All right, so let's go ahead and find this mirror tool. Let's go ahead and find that mirror tool. Okay, and it's highlighting the sketch that we're working on. So let's see if that works to our advantage. So we got to pick the elements, which it looks like it's chosen that sketch element that we've created so far. And then we need to pick that mirror line. That mirror line is that center line that we created. So if we left click now on this mirror line, does it go over to the other side? Nope, it doesn't quite. So what we need to do is go through and select those things that we want to do. And remember, when we want to select multiple things, we can control to go ahead and grab them individually. We also have the option of left clicking and holding and drawing a fence around things so we can select all those things. Cool. We got all those things right now, right? Okay, so we got those things. Let's do the mirror now. And as we click that mirror, let's click on the center line. There we go. See, we got a mirror image of everything on this side, on that side. So our sketch is done. Sort of. Let's see what happens. Order of things matters sometimes. Let's see if we can get ourselves out of this one the way that it is right now. I'm going to do an extrusion first. And I'm going to make these holes in this part of things so far. Let's do this. Okay. See, look what happens when I chose that. It's choosing the whole sketch, which is fine. We're just going to do it this way. So see, it's extruding that sketch that we created out to 4 inches. We only want it to be an inch out because our total dimension from here to here is 1.5, and our dimension right here to here is 0.5 inch that we set already. So we're going to set that to 1, enter, and hit OK. And we're pretty good, but we don't have a hole all the way through. When we look at this example and we see this, when we look on this top view here and this side view, when we're looking at these things, we have a couple things that are telling us about these holes. Okay, where it's spec'd out, where it says 0.5 through, that tells us right there that the hole, these 4 holes, this hole in particular at first, goes all the way through. And then this, so through the whole object, through the whole part. The second part there says 4 PLCS, so 4 places. So in all 4 instances, this is all the same. It's a 1/2 inch diameter hole that goes all the way through the thing. Okay, we see that mirrored here on these other sides when we look at the top view and the side view by the lines that are shown to us. These dashed lines that we see are hidden lines. Those are lines that exist, but we can't see through the part to see them, but they are there. So that is showing us that hole going through the part. We see it on the top view. We also see it on the side view. We also see a hidden line here going this way that shows us the plane right here, that line right there, because we can see it from the outside if we were able to see through the part. Okay, but since it's a solid part, we're just showing those dashed lines so that we can see the geometry inside of the part, existing inside of that. Okay, extra stuff. Let's go back here. So long and the short of that is we have holes in here, but the darn things don't go all the way through yet. So let's go ahead and see if we can fix that. Let's get back to our standard orientation. Let's go ahead and let's try and make an extrusion. Okay, let's see if we can do this way. Let's go back and look at it from the front. Let's click on, let's see, if we do an extrude, we click on that and cancel that because it's going back into that mode. Let's just try and click on that extrude one more time. Again, we'll get out of tools, we double click, or hit that cancel. I don't want to go back in the sketch tool. I don't want to be in the extrude tool. Let me just cancel that, get back out of it. So I'm back here just looking at things. I want to go ahead and grab this thing so I can grab this circle and extrude it, and I can't see it when it's there. So over here in this model history over here on the side, we have all these things that we've done. It keeps track of what we've done through the process of creating the model. This is the extrude 1 that we did to create this thing. This is the extrude 2. Okay. I want to hide this one for a minute. So if I right click on extrude 2 and click on hide, what happens? Anything? No, it doesn't, because we're still in this extrusion. So let's cancel that tool. Let's go back here and try that again. Right click. And we're going to show all except. Let's try that one. Nope, that one doesn't work. Let's go back and edit this one. So if I go into this first extrusion and I click on that, I can come back in here and get back into that sketch. Okay, by clicking on that if I want to. I can also right click on that word extrusion and click right here, edit definition. And if there's something I want to change, like a dimension, I can change that. The holes weren't drawn there yet, so let's go back and hit cancel. Let's go back to this one. Let's go to extrude number 2. Right click on it. Go to that edit definition. Okay, we're going to come look at this sketch or this extrude. Let's go to the options. Not working for us. Order matters. Okay, so let's cancel out of there. There's not a simple way that's obvious here to go ahead and fix that problem. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to this sketch. And I'm going to go ahead and remove these. Just because we're newer at this, I can come in here, click on there, and I can delete that. Delete that. Delete that. Delete that circle. Delete that circle. And hit OK. And then notice how the model regenerates and there are no holes in there. All right. So let's create another sketch so we can make those holes and go all the way through. Now there's 5 other ways to do it. They get to be a little bit more complicated. I want to show you the easier way to do it. I'm also sometimes going to show you what's not the correct way so that you can see the steps of how to get back out and go back in and edit these things. So it's intentional. It's not like I forgot how to do it, but it's with a purpose. Sometimes it might not seem like it, but 99% of the time it's with a purpose here. So let's go back to the front. Let's go ahead and create a sketch. Let's create it on this plane. Okay, and hit OK. That sketch button. We're going to draw a circle. We're going to put that hole there, remember. We're going to do that. We're going to left click to end it. We're going to come straight down with the mouse so we keep those centers lined up. We're going to drag it out until we get that equal sign. So we keep those things together. We're going to double click the center to get out of there and get into that that dimensions menu. We're going to come edit that hole size to 0.5. Both of them update. We're going to set that distance from the edge to 0.75, so 3/4 of an inch. Okay, I don't like this dimension here, so I'm going to go ahead and add a new one by coming up to the top, clicking on dimension. I'm going to find the center. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to click on that edge, left click, and then I'm going to come out where I want that dimension to end up at. And then I'm going to center click, and I get a dimension that pops up. So now I can put in that other 0.75. See, that other one disappears, and now I have dimensions that I want to. This one is 0.75 from the edge because we already set it up here, and these things share a center. Okay. Now I'm going to come down over here, and I'm going to go ahead and change that to 0.75. Right? And I'm going to go ahead and mirror this features over to the other side. So I want to go ahead and select those, right? Okay, left click, hold the control down, select that other one, click on the mirror tool. But do I have a thing to mirror around yet? I don't. If I click on this one, it mirrors with this is the center. I'm going to hit Control Z, hold on the control and do the Z. Let me go ahead and add a center line real quick. Okay, lock onto that center point there, draw that, and then go back and select, double click the center to get out of the tool. I'm going to left click on that circle, hold control down, and then left click on this one, click on mirror left click on that center line, and there's the other one. Okay, mirror set on the other side, hit OK. Let's go ahead and look at this in a default orientation so we can see those circles. Let's go into extrude. And oh my God, we got pins coming out the other side of our block instead of going the other way. Never fear though, we're going to flip this arrow so it goes in the other way. It's going to go and choose that remove material. Let's change this option from a depth of 3 inches, which is the dimension of this, because we always want that to be through, which is what the plan's called for. Let's change that by clicking on this little object here from a variable type to a through all and hit OK. Okay. And now we have holes all the way through with a part that looks like exactly like it should for Lab 1B. There are many other ways to get through to that. If you come up with a way that you really like, send me an email. Tell me what it was. Or if we have a conversation online, make mention of it next time you visit an office hour. Stop by an office hours and say hello. Tell me how you did that. What was your process? There's 100 different ways to get to the end point on a lot of these things when you're drawing in CAD. You got to choose which way you want to go. All right, that's a wrap on exercise 1 and Lab 1B. Lab L1 is there for you to do. Remember, for exercise 1, you're responsible for all 3 of those to be turned in. The due date on exercise 1 is 1 week into class. Okay, make sure you get that one in. The due date on those other 2 things is the last day of class. But go ahead, get them done, get them turned in right away. All right, that's it. I'll see you later. Exercise